30 minutes, if that's okay.
Sure. However, you're my last appointment today, so however long you need.
Awesome. Alrighty, we are up on the live stream right now, guys. Thanks for joining us on Facebook and YouTube. We are getting ready to record an episode of What Are You Made Of with your boy Mike C-Roc and a special guest today, Ronny Leber. Did I pronounce that right, Ron?
Absolutely.
All right, let me get the Zoom recording and we'll get started on the episode.
Sure.
Welcome back to another fantastic episode of What Are You Made Of with your boy Mike C-Roc. A lot of events going on, guys, right now in the United States. A lot of craziness, and I just want to bring a moment of content to you to try to help you with your life. This movement that I started called What Are You Made Of is all about turning setbacks, negativity, letdowns into rocket fuel for your future. And I want to start the show, first of all, thanking you for joining us. Thank you for watching live on YouTube and Facebook. But before I get into it, today I want to do a little something different. And before I introduce my guest, I want to talk about what's going on real quick and just how that relates to the What Are You Made Of movement. It's important for me to establish something here with what this movement is about and how it relates to the things that we've gone through so far in 2020. I use it as a personal experience, personal lesson for myself, and it's worked. So I wanted to share it with other people, but this movement could not be a better thing for what's going on right now, because there's a lot of negativity, a lot of letdowns, a lot of setbacks, and to the point where our country is kind of being set back in time a little bit. So I want everybody to be encouraged by the fact that you can turn these kind of things into rocket fuel for your future, for yourself, for groups of people, and for our country. And so, first of all, my thoughts and prayers are with George Floyd's family and friends, and for the senseless tragedy, and also for all those that have dealt with racism, that have dealt with, any kind of discrimination, because none of that has a place in the world anymore. Never did. And especially nowadays, and everybody deserves a right to prosper. And so my commitment is to continue to put this movement out, to share with people to how to turn these letdowns and setbacks into rocket fuel. And I want to help any way that I possibly can. And I want to do my part in that by encouraging and sharing love with people. So I just wanted to start the show off with that. And with that being said, I want to introduce my guest. So now Ronny Leber we were introduced via Instagram through what I mentioned a lot of times by just sending messages out on Instagram to people that I think I would enjoy connecting with. And in doing that, Ronny was, more than happy to come on the show. He offered his time, and I thank him for that. And, it's pretty cool to see the things that he's been through. And I'm going to just read real quick a couple things here. Ronny has entertained about 5 million people worldwide. And I talk about reaching millions of people with my movement. He's entertained 5 million people. He's been a stadium host for big sporting events, Austrian national team in soccer, tennis, boxing, marathons, American football even. He's been a host of corporate events for brands like Coca-Cola, Mercedes, Benz, T-Mobile, Samsung, and he's been a keynote speaker on topics like motivation, momentum, magic moments, team building, peak performance. There's many more on here, including the fact that he went to school in Maine in the U.S. He's currently in Austria, Vienna, Austria, and he's also a current trainer for Tony Robbins and been around Tony Robbins' environment for about 20 years. So with that being said, Ronny, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Mike. It's a pleasure, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. And I think What Are You Made Of is perfect for this time right now. It is perfect for any time, but especially for this time. Because I believe that especially right now, this is the time where it really shows what you're made of. Because, when everything is going right, when you got a win behind your sails, it's easy to be like, oh man, I'm a stud, I got this. But right now, this is the time to shine. And this is a time where you will see afterwards who actually used this time, who actually made something of this time, and who actually grew right now and made something more and bigger. And there are many others that are caught up in the negativity that is all around us, and by the fear, and just by doing nothing or being just procrastinating with things because so focused on the news or whatever. And you will see afterwards who are those that actually progress, who are those that actually move forward, and who are those that are just holding back and like, oh, I don't know. You can see it on the stock market. You can see it on Bitcoin. You can see it everywhere. Where are those people that dare to invest right now? And where are the people that are like, well, I'm going to wait around a bit here and see what's coming. So first of all, yeah, thank you very much for being here. And I'm excited to be your guest today.
Well, thank you. And, you know, we always start the show by asking, what are you made of? So Ronny, what are you made of?
Well, yeah, and I'm actually gonna continue on that. What you said and also what I just said is that especially right now, and as you mentioned, I work especially in the event industry, and as you can also imagine, right now there are no events, or basically there is hardly anything around the world right now. So we are hit pretty severely. Like we were the first ones out, and the last ones coming back in. At the same time, this is exactly where you show what you're made of. And right now I'm not worried because I know everything's gonna be great. I don't know exactly how it's gonna be, but that doesn't matter because I know what I want, what my outcome is, and I also know why I want it. And I always say, when your why is strong enough, you will always find a how. And this is something very, very beautiful. It's been true very often in my life, and I think that you will find a way when you just want it bad enough.
Now, what is something that you've learned? I'm going to get into how you got to where you are today, but what is something you learned from going through the COVID and events being shut down? Like you said, the first ones to shut down, the last ones to go back, you know, and of course that affects you economically, financially, probably emotionally. But what are some of the lessons that you've learned in this for going forward in the future? Again, what you are made of is, you know, what's going on currently for your future as well.
Well, first of all, what's really beautiful right now, I think, is that really coming back to your essence. Like when you strip away everything around you, when you strip away all your beliefs you have about yourself, all your beliefs you have about the world, all of the things that are keeping you, that are actually engaging you, or maybe even keeping you in a cage. Right now, it doesn't matter because many people are at home or have been at home for quite some time, and spending time with the people that you love, spending time with yourself. And this is really, really important. And so I've learned that it's incredibly great to have time with yourself, to have time to work on yourself and on things that really matter, that are important and not just urgent. Because this totally like stepping on the brake a bit and giving yourself time to breathe. This is beautiful because life is going to be back before you know it. This will go on. This will move. But it's right now the time that you can have for yourself, where you can really build. And what I learned from that is also that I've invested in myself. I've also invested in Bitcoin. I've invested in different things, and I can see that there are so many opportunities out there. So basically, it's discovering what opportunities there are for you, because there are always plenty of opportunities in times of crisis. And at the same time, then decide and focus for one.
What's one thing that you're going to do differently in your industry, what you do going forward, that you didn't do before?
Well, my industry, actually, one fun thing, that I already had my first post-corona event in an empty stadium that I hosted on Friday. That was really different. Yeah, I hope this is not going to be the future. Yeah. But we actually had the first soccer final in the world happening after COVID, with 200 people in a big stadium, and including the players. That was really unreal, actually, as an experience. And as well, I'm going to structure my life differently again. I'm really gonna take care, or even stand more guard at my own time, how I spend my time and how I value my time. Because right now I love this. This is amazing that you are really the man of your time. And I love that. And also connecting with people that are really important to you, and really seeing who are those people. And how can you grow? How can you grow out of this? Like, for example, we are doing right now. How can you grow your network? How can you add value to other people? Even though when you're at home, nowadays you can build $1 million business inside your own walls. It's incredible. This is the best time ever in terms of the opportunities that are there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, man. There's so many lessons to take out of this and so many different ways to operate going forward. So take us back a little bit for how you got into your position of, being a speaker, and, just where did you start? Did you always think about being a speaker? Take us back.
That's a fun story, Mike, because actually that was never even in my mind. Like, really, there was not. When you talk about thinking outside the box, I was in the box. That was not in my box. And I studied sports and economics. Like, I did 2 university studies, and even at that point when I was done, that was not even part of my thinking system. When I got done, I was like, well, okay, what do I want to do now? What is it that I really want to do? I know it maybe would have also been enough to ask this question before I started my studies. But anyway, better later than never. And I was asking myself, okay, if I want to do something where I want to be really good, it better be something where I'm really passionate about. But the question is, what am I passionate about? And this is oftentimes not an easy question for somebody to answer. And I'm sure that you have an answer for that, because it looks like you're really passionate about what you're doing. But I also believe that your path to getting there didn't just start right away. And when you got up, that's what I'm going to do. Right. You probably had a process. And in my case, it was for weeks and months. I asked myself the same questions over and over again. What do I love to do in my free time? What am I passionate about? What moves me emotionally? What is it that I spend money on? What do I spend my time on? What do I talk with friends about? What is it that gets me emotional? Also, what is it that I also love to do as a kid? And to me, it was always events that bring the whole world together. May it be a Super Bowl, may it be the Soccer World Cup, the Olympic Games, or even when you're at a concert, you're totally consumed by the moment. You're totally in it. You're totally there. You're not thinking, oh man, tomorrow I got to go to the hairdresser, or I need to send a text message. No, you're fully engaged and involved. And I thought, wow, this is an environment where I want to work in. I didn't know what, and I didn't know how, but I knew why, because it was right in here. And then I had some ideas about what, and actually then it happened to me that one of our professional soccer teams in Vienna, for their youth teams, they were looking for somebody like once a month to be there Saturday afternoon for a little milk money, actually. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And the best thing about it was that I got like free tickets for the big guys, and also to be invited for a Christmas party. And 1 year later, it was on the 25th of June, 2009. It was the day that Michael Jackson died. One of, for me, the best onstage entertainer of all time. And on that evening, in the morning, actually, after 5, I walked out there, and there was a friend of mine, also from the sports university, who worked at our professional ice hockey team in Vienna. And I was just like, like 5 o'clock in the morning. Hey, are you by any chance looking for a new stadium announcer? And she was like, I don't know, I'll ask. And the next day she called me, hey, we're looking. And that was the start of it. And then after I got hired from the hockey team, that was the first time that I actually thought, hey, this could be a career. And when I started investing in myself, in my voice and everything, and from there on, it was just, there was a dream. It was, and I knew the what, but I still didn't know the how, because I didn't know anybody. Nobody knew me. And then it was just like, in the beginning, a lot of empty kilometers in a way, or empty miles, as you would say. But still, those are just empty miles as long as you give up at one point. But as long as you keep moving forward, eventually you will get there.
Yeah.
When you know your outcome.
It's something that I go through personally. I share pretty much everything on the show. I'm an open book. And so even vulnerability, because I believe that the journey to success is invisible most times. And I want to share with people everything that I go through as I'm going, because Ronnie, I know where I'm going. I don't believe that I'm going to get there. I know already. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of time. I don't know the exact time.
Because you decided, that you'll get there.
Exactly. And I write it down every day. I live it. I breathe it. I sleep with it. And the thing is that, since I know that, I decided to share my journey with people. And so there are times where I will have not as many listeners as I thought, not as many engagements as I thought. Am I making an impact? I'm not getting the feedback that I thought. There's things that happen all the time, and they go through your head, and you're wondering, well, am I on the right track? Am I doing the right thing? It feels like you said, perfect, empty, I'll say miles here, empty kilometers. Yeah, sure. And it truthfully happens. But then what happens is I keep pushing. And as soon as that thought comes into my head, it seems like it's within a day or two, something magical happens. Something big happens just to propel me a little bit further. But if I stopped and quit right then or laid off the gas pedal, I would miss that opportunity. So knowing that and seeing that and then seeing it in other people, I understand that despite the feeling of it being like emptiness, empty miles or empty, no purpose for what you're doing, I end up seeing that it's not the case. And I keep reminding myself. So I want to share that message with a lot of people. If you're listening to this, guys, whenever you decide to do something, you fire yourself up and go after it and keep going after it. And if something feels not right, maybe you make an adjustment, but don't ever quit. You just keep pressing down. And what happens is magic starts to happen, right? So
yeah, exactly, Mike. It's just keep moving forward. And you know this, like when people see you doing and following your dream for some time, they get inspired. And after a while, there will be people that come and help you out of the blue. Like you didn't ask them, but they are there because they see that you're making a difference and they want to be part of that. And it's beautiful. They're not there initially when you start. Mm-hmm. But then when you see you, like when I started, I didn't know anybody, nobody knew me. But after some time, when people see, hey, you're coming back, you're not just getting punched into the face once and you disappear. You keep standing up and coming back. It's something that people value and say like, okay, maybe we should take this dude serious.
Right.
He's for real.
Consistency. I always say this is it. Yeah. Consistency, frequency, massive action, and passion. Those four things lined up together is unstoppable. And, you're 100% right. At first, sometimes when you start out, people look at you like you're crazy. You're going to do what? You're going to start a podcast? Yeah. You're going to start a movement? Yeah. You're going to be a speaker at a ice hockey team? Like that's going to be a career, really? And then you just say, yeah, that's what's going to happen. Watch. Sit back and watch. But then you start seeing these people, some of them will leave. And then they start, when you have that success and you're consistent, like they said, they start coming back and then they start becoming fans. And, it's not something that happens once in a while. It's a consistent pattern that you can watch in human beings.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because then it's like momentum kicks in and suddenly you're taking off, like there is getting wind in your sails. Yeah. And you're getting movement.
Now you have some topics that you gave me that you like to cover. And I wanted to cover some of these if you don't mind.
Sure.
But, when you've talked in front of tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people, you have this thing on here. What does it all come down to? Like, what is the basis of that? Like what really matters?
And that is a fantastic question, Mike, because you probably don't have that, but many people, or did you know that for many people, the number one fear is the fear of public speaking, of standing out there in front of everybody. And then they're thinking, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? Or, oh my God, what if I don't know what to say? Oh my God, what's going to happen? And I'm going to just disappear, or I want to disappear in that moment. The point is, the secret behind it is not a lot of difference between talking to 5 people, talking to 50 people, or talking to 50,000 people. The point is that you're not talking to them. You're having a conversation with them. And also besides that, it's people are not going to remember what you said. They will not remember a word that you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And this is like in a conversation. You need to make them feel, you need to make them feel you, to make them feel good, to make them feel understood, or just that they leave. Here's all what I think. When I start, I always have an end goal in mind. I always have something like, what is it that I want to achieve? How do I want, like, with what emotions do I want them to leave this event? What is it that the impact that they should take away from this? And then it's, even when I'm talking just like in a stadium and I'm on the video wall, like on a Jumbotron or something, and I'm talking to the camera, it's as if I'm talking to one person right now, as if I'm talking to that person and saying whatever it is I'm saying, like I'm talking with you right now. Because this is where the energy is getting created. This is what the other person will realize, and will also resonate with that person. Instead of just talking to somebody, because nobody likes to be talked to, but people love to be talked with.
Yeah. And what you're just explaining to me right there is not to worry about yourself. And this is something that we need in the United States, we need in the world right now, is more selflessness rather than selfishness. And so when you're speaking in public, and like you said, whether it's one person, 100,000 people, you need to start worrying or being concerned more with the people that you're talking to, not yourself, right?
Totally. It's not about you. It's about them. And, and great that you say that, because many people that I can see, especially with beginners, when they are out there, or when they don't know exactly, they're not very certain about what to say or how to present it, they are caught in their head. You can see it in their internal system. You can see it in their eyes, that they are not present with the audience, that they are totally consumed up in their own mind. Like, oh, what comes next? What is the next slide? Or what is the next thing that I'm going to say? Don't worry about that. Just be there and be present with the people. See what they are like, feed from them, see what they are giving you, and then feed off that energy and resonate it back, because that's what's going to create a connection with them. It's not about just being there and just like being totally inside your head, because then you don't need to be out there.
Yep.
Because you're not communicating with them. You're communicating with yourself, and they are just witnessing it. Yep. But you don't want that. You want to be talking with them.
Yep. So let me ask you this. There's a lot of people that want to be something in life, whether it's whatever industry they're in, right? And then they get a mentor, they get somebody that they look up to. And in your case, was Michael Buffer one of those at all? Because I know you shadowed him at one time. But my question, before I get into that part of it, people are watching.
Have a picture here.
There you go. Buffer. There he is. Yep. So you shadowed him one time, but the thing is that how do you look up to someone, whether it was him or whoever it is, right? You look up to someone and you're interested in doing what they do. So you find them as a mentor, maybe from a distance or a close up. But how do you differentiate yourself from someone like Michael Buffer or another ring announcer or another sports announcer and make it your own? Did you, and the reason I'm asking, did you make it and emulate them first and then differentiate yourself after that? Or?
That is a fantastic question, Mike, that actually never really nobody has ever asked me in that way. So first of all, I do believe that there is greatness out there and you don't need to reinvent the wheel. So in my case, it's wherever I go, and especially since I started that career, I always go there with what can I learn? What can I take away from this? How are they doing that? What is it that they're doing great? What can I incorporate? And what fits to me? Because, for example, when you take Michael Buffer with his famous "Let's Get Ready to Rumble," which is obviously trademarked, and I couldn't just go out there in a boxing ring and say, "Let's get ready to rumble," because otherwise I would hear from his lawyers. And I don't want that, to be honest. So, but still, you can always pick up something. Like, I mean, I've seen Tony Robbins for 20 years. To me, one of the greatest speakers on a stage that I've seen in my lifetime. My first inspiration that I had was when I was 16 and I was in high school in the US. And back then it was the 96 Clinton-Gore campaign against Bob Dole in the presidential election. And I was lucky enough to be with our school. We went to see Al Gore and also Bill Clinton. And I was really impressed. I was impressed by seeing them talk and actually playing with the audience. I loved that. And I was thinking back then, 16 years old, like, wow, I would love to be able to do that. I would love to be able to play with the audience like that. And wherever you go, and I mean, just think about, what do you love? What do you like about that other person, that what he or she's doing right now? When I go somewhere and I feel entertained and I think this is something that could fit to me, could fit to who I am, then I'll take it. And there are things that I love and that don't fit to me, then I'm not going to put it into my repertoire, so to say. But I think it's really important to know, who are you? Who are you and who do you want to be? Not just who are you right now, but who you want to be. How do you see yourself? Where do you position yourself? If you would be a brand or a product, you would have a positioning. The same applies to you as Mike, as Ronny, or as whoever you are who is watching this right now or listening to it. You stand for something, and you decide what it is that you want to stand for. Just don't change it every day. Make this something what you really want to stand for, your mission. And that's how you decide, actually, I believe, what you take on. And I think this is like standing on the shoulders of giants. You just take, like you take from others. And this is how human evolution goes around.
Yeah. Yeah. Great answer, man. Great answer. So let me ask you this then, on your journey. But first of all, what are you doing now? How does it work? Do they hire you for like per job, or do you have a contract, or how does it work in your line of work?
Well, it depends. I mean, in general, I get paid per job. Yeah. And at the same time, there are obviously some organizations that I mean, for example, the Austrian soccer national team or the Austrian Soccer Cup Final, I've been doing this the last 10 years. So it's not that I get a contract for every single game. I mean, it's kind of a given in a way that when I hear that there are new games on, I'm just putting them into my calendar because I know I'm going to be there. And at the same time, it's for many jobs or gigs, it's like, it depends on, like, to get booked by them. It's like with an artist.
Right. So how do you stay uncomfortable and non-complacent when that happens, and not just assume that you're going to get a job? Or how do you make sure that you have jobs lined up? And how do you, because see, to me, I'm in the mortgage industry. I run a large mortgage division for Nations Lending, and we're always constantly trying to level up, keeping our graphs going up. We're always trying to make sure that we don't get complacent, don't get comfortable. We make sure we go out and hunt and kill. You know, I hate to say it that way, but we think about like, hey, we got to get after it. How do you avoid that situation?
That's a great question, Mike. And I believe this is a really, really important lesson, because I can see in the market, and obviously there are many hosts and many people also that would love to have some jobs that I have and so on. And I mean, obviously, because there's only one host. It's like when you're playing on a football team, there's just one quarterback.
Yeah.
And if you're number 2 or 3, I mean, okay, maybe you're still on the bench, but still it's not going to be as fun as being out there on the field. And number 4 is not even on the bench.
Right.
So basically then you're out. And I think the best thing that you can do, and I see so many guys out there fighting and competing for price. Like, oh, I'm gonna make it cheaper for you. I'm gonna be even cheaper. I'm gonna be even cheaper. Until, I mean, there is no way to stay profitable like that. And you're gonna be just driven out of business at some point. I think your single best guarantee to get a job or to be booked and to get booked solid is to build a brand, to create value also with what you stand for, with who you are, to invest in yourself, to just constantly evolve your product, because you are your product. Like, no matter if you're an employee somewhere, if you're working for yourself, in mortgage, it's the same thing with your clients. They need to know, why do they take you instead of somebody else? And this is exactly the point. Why? What's your why? And that's the thing also that they need to feel, because how do they connect with you? Like Simon Sinek with Start With Why, you might be aware of.
Yeah.
A fantastic book. And also it's like Apple. There are people lining up days before in order to get the new iPhone. I don't see that happening with Huawei or whatever, like with some other cell phone companies and so on. I mean, it's because they have a strong why, because they build a tribe. I think that's especially important to build that and to create that around you, and follow your dream. like really, and get it out there.
Yeah.
And
Great
believe in
answer, man.
yourself.
Great info right there, man. I love it. Now I'm going to finish with this question. And before we go, I want to make sure that my audience can engage with you and how they engage with you. I put that in the Facebook and YouTube in the text section, but also I'll put it in the show notes. But before I ask the last question, what's the best way for my audience to engage with you?
Well, first of all, obviously, Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, it's always Ronny Leber, RonnyLeber, in one word. Or also you can come to my homepage, ronnyleber.com. It's also an English version available, English and German. And as well, there's a new blog out there. You can subscribe to my blog and get some great infos like every other week about how to wow your audience, basically, how to engage with the audience, how to add value, all those kinds of topics around it. And
yeah. I love that, because when you hit a certain level, it's time to start giving back and teaching people, because
exactly,
you know, first of all, you're giving back, but secondly, it helps you get better when you teach, you know?
Yes.
So I love that.
Because you need to actually, Tony Robbins always says that, like, when you consume information, consume it as if you would teach it to somebody else, because then you really need to know the details. Because I mean, I'm sure that or when you tell it to your kids, or you tell it to your wife, or do you tell it to somebody that is close to you, and you're like, oh yeah, I learned this and it's like this. And then they're going to ask you, yeah, but why is that? And then you need to know why. Otherwise they're going to be, if you just say, well, I don't know, but I know it's this. Right. Yeah, but why? And you need to know, you need to have your stuff together.
Now, Ronny, the last question I have for you is, why did you, I love this question. Why did you decide to come on the What Are You Made Of podcast?
I love that. Because as you just said, I love giving back. I love the message. What are you made of? I mean, this is what it all comes down to. Because basically, especially in our day and age, with all the opportunities and all the possibilities that we have, I also believe that misery is as high as it's ever been. And people that are unhappy, people that are, or I mean, you can see it in relationship status, single people. The rate of single people is as high as ever in the history. And I believe that right now it's really, really important to have a light out there that shines bright, and that actually adds value, that tells people, hey, come on. It's not always dark. It's not everything dark out there. There is something there's a light out there. There is hope, and you can do that. And it's an art to find the fulfillment inside of you, but it's possible, and you just need to look for it. And I love that. What are you made of? And so I'm very happy and thankful to be here. And wow, the time went by fast.
I know, man. We flew. We're having fun, man. Time flies when you're having fun. But look, I want to thank you personally from my heart for joining us. It's a pleasure to know you now and meet you and be connected with you.
Thank you, Mike.
I had a mission that I was on, and I kept writing in my goals that I wanted to get known globally. That means meeting people and connecting with people, not just in my city or my state, country, but all the way around the world. And I've been able to do that, and you're helping that mission come true. So I really appreciate that, Ronny. And I look forward to meeting you in person one day.
Me too. Can't wait to share this also here over in Europe.
Thank you very much. You guys have been listening to the What Are You Made Of podcast with your boy, Mike C-Roc. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your support of the Waymo movement. Guys, this is needed more than ever right now. I need your help to get this around here, because it's going to help millions of people. It's going to prop a lot of people out of bad situations. And if we can all be selfless, not selfish, selfless, by pushing this movement around, we're going to help millions. And I really appreciate you doing that. So until next time, I'm your boy, C-Roc. Be great.